Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Duels of the Spellslingers Tournament number 5. So for those of us just joining now, then just a reminder to others, tournament number 5 is a little bit easier than other tournaments. There's a little bit less rules going on because we lost some of the people, we lost some of our manpower and women power at the beginning of tournament number 5. So tournament number 5 basically has no rules. It's a best 2 out of 3, but you can use whatever planeswalker card combinations or decks that you want. You can use the same deck twice. You can change up decks. You don't know what your opponent will use the first and or the second time. It's basically like pressing the battle button in game. And so before we begin today, I'd like to give a shout out to our organizer and our video creator and editor. We got antlr, and some of it myself as an organizer, and also thanks to Ezra from the community for joining us, helping us do some of the video editing and creating as well. And also thanks to our commentators. We got Dusty, Nemesis, Red Rose, and myself, Obus Form. I got a message from actually from Tortuga and from Jokes of Jesus and Queen83, and I'm just gonna read it here. I'm just paraphrasing, but it says, "A lot of people tell me you guys are the greatest team there ever has been. It's phenomenal, amazing, just unbelievable, so powerful, successful, and you guys are just a tremendous asset, absolutely massive." So I just want to thank you, Tortuga, Jokes of Jesus, and Queen83 for your belief in us. And again, I'm just paraphrasing. Some of it is more of a direct quote from Jokes of Jesus, and it actually sounds like him. But anyways, thank you guys for believing in us, and we hope to see you guys soon, joining in the tournaments, playing the games, maybe doing some commentary, and one day coming back. So hope to see you soon. Anyways, with that, we're going to get started with round 1.
Round 1. Fight!
Alright, so round 1, we're going to have Blue Drogo on Kiora rocking that Talarian Academy versus Ezra on Jace with the beautiful face rocking the normal land. And yeah, from the get-go, it looks like Ezra splashed red. We can see that in his 9/7 haste trample worm. And it looks like Blue Drogo with the Talarian Academy means that it's typical Kiora play with the artifacts trying to ramp. We can see the Sylvan Shrine, we can see the Panharmonicon for the Arcanist or the Archmage that's already in hand. So Blue Drogo passes turn 1. On turn 1, Ezra decides to blow. Do you blow the mana gem? Yeah, so blows the mana gem on Lore Keeper, which grants a random spell. Gets Clear the Field, which has some great synergy with debut creatures, but Kiora also rocking debut creatures, which we can see from Kiora's hand. We got Birds of Paradise, we also have Arcanist the Archmage, so Clear the Field might not be the answer that Ezra needs, but it is definitely an interesting choice to see when you can use it. Anyways, turn 2, Blue Drogo uses the Birds of Paradise. I think Blue Drogo is contemplating whether or not to Panharmonicon that Birds of Paradise just to bring it up, but that sort of defeats the purpose of having and using a Birds of Paradise, so he ends the turn. So on turn 2, Ezra can probably go in for the attack and might actually either do the Anticipate to draw more cards, hoping to proc Jace's passive to get it down so he can, have everything cost 1 cost, or maybe do the Isochron Scepter. But anyways, Ezra attacks. I don't know if Blue Drogo is going to block. Because yeah, 2 damage is not that bad, and also it's only 2 damage. Maybe you can chump block when it's like a 4 damage creature. So Ezra plays the Isochron Scepter and gets the could be haste. Nope, goes for a bombastic boost. I guess it might be doing a play on Blue Drogo's sort of slower, typical Kiora slow start. So maybe he's gonna go for the bombastic boost, which gives it +2/+1 for a creature but cannot block. So on turn 3, there we go, Sylvan Shrine costing 1 less, costing 3 mana thanks to the Talarian Academy. So that brings Blue Drogo to 5 mana. Okay. So Ezra now also on turn 3, Isochron Scepter giving the, I think maybe it's Mana Surge. Yeah, Mana Surge giving you basically 1 more mana. Bombastic boosts becomes a 4/2 Lore Keeper, but can't block very good. So this might be the time, to start blocking. 4 damage is usually the time that people start to chump block. And has 2 mana left over, probably do the Anticipate, maybe the Repulse, or could do the Xander Split. Maybe the Repulse, nope, maybe Mana Constrictor just to cast, okay. So many cards in hand costing 8 cost. Maybe Ezra just doesn't want to grab any more cards because he's going to have 3 cards that are sort of stuck. So now it is Blue Drogo's turn, and Blue Drogo, again, 1 more mana, so that's 2 mana gained, plus a third from Tide Shaper. Very well done. So that's basically 3, yeah, Panharmonicon, there we go. So much mana. We got 2 from Sylvan Shrine. We have now 2 from the Tide Shaper. That's an extra 4 mana. And next turn, so Ezra gets the Icy Manipulator and goes in for the attack. I don't know if that was maybe the best play, but I think maybe Ezra's trying to go for some tempo here because he's so short and low on mana, and Blue Drogo just had all the cards to, yeah, now gets his Titan. What does he get? You get the Erixmethes, and maybe it's time to play Erixmethes, or could Panharmonicon Arcanus. He could double, actually, Panharmonicon. He could Arcanus now, Panharmonicon, and then cast Panharmonicon again to basically get triple the art debut. But nope, decides to go for Master of Possibilities. And we don't get to see right now what it is, but it's taken a little while for Blue Drogo. So, okay, it's going to be Agony Warp, which is not a bad answer to the 4-2. Yeah, it becomes a 1-2 can't block, so it's basically a useless creature. And I think that might be the end of the turn, or could do Curious Tide Shaper, depending on how he's comfortable. Okay, there we go. Decides to play Curious Tide Shaper, but I don't, oh, nope, puts it back in hand. Okay, decides to Panharmonicon, the Master of Possibilities. Pan the mop, mop the pan. I don't know, mop the pan the mop. There's some commercial about it. Path to Exile, probably wasn't what it wanted. But anyways, decides to use it and therefore gives Ezra 1 more mana gem. I honestly don't know if that was required because, I mean, it's just a 2-2 creature out there. Your 4-4 is going to block it. And that's quite a big turn. So Master Possibilities maybe for a 3rd time. Nope, decides not to. Okay. So with 6 mana, Ezra can probably go for Jesus Apprentice. And maybe just leave it at that and attack with the 1-2 because, I mean, it's a dead card. But you can also just keep it there, but there's no point because it can't even chump block. So I think, yeah, that's the end of the turn. It looks like there might be a remand from Jace's side, but it's up to Blue Drogo to sort of make that bet. If he bets there's a remand, he can always cast Erixmethes, the 10 mana, because Erixmethes cannot be countered. But in any case, nope, decides to go for the attack. 4-1 is now, the Master Possibility is now blocked, so it's a 4-1. Yep, there we go, Erixmethes, just in case there's remand, but there isn't. Okay, so we know Ezra is going to take 10 damage no matter what next turn, and there's no real good answer. So I feel like Blue Drogo has a lot of the board control, even though Ezra has tons of cards, but most of them are sort of return. We got unsummon, we got clear the field. Yeah, maybe we just have to take the 10 damage and just sort of shell game it. All right. So draws all the cards, has 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Nope, it has got 8 cards in hand. And so that is a lot of cards in hand, but okay, so now it's Blue Drogo's turn. He plays Arcanus, the Archmage is probably going to get panned. He gets the Possessing Arcana, and what else does he get if you're gonna pan it? He also gets the Conceal. Okay, so I think that's going to be game. So if Blue Drogo attacks for the 10 damage, that's gonna bring Ezra down to basically 16, and then he can cast Concealing Arcana afterwards. So Icy Manipulator, very well done. Attacks with everything. Only the 3-3 can block. I think it's the turn to block the 4-1. Nope, decides to block the 2-2. Okay, so 14 damage. Blue, I guess Electricity and White Water, which does a lot of damage. Drowning Ezra and drowning Jace's face in white water. So Ezra's now down to 12. And I think he has to know and realize that there is a Concealing Arcana, because after someone Panharmonicons Arcanus, they get 2 spells. And if it's Possessing Arcana, if it's, Concealing Arcana, it's basically kind of GG, because you're going to have already, cards that are going to be taken away from you. You're going to have cards that you can't block, so you kind of have to deal with that right now. So I think the answer is you either have to... Yeah, I think the answer was he had to clear the field. Oh, he draws the Riddling Arcana. Very good draw, but I don't think that's going to save the game. He had to have drawn something like a... oh, well, no, decides to go casting the turtle. Decides to stun that 5/5. There we go. Okay, so that does answer the board for now. Very well done. But possessing Arcana is, I'm going to guess, possess the 5/5 flyer. Again, just a ton of board pressure on Blue Drogo's side that Ezra doesn't really have an answer for unless he's going to, you know, clear the field or he's going to Lava Wave. Okay, so decides to stun the 3/1. And we can see notifications. Yes, Ezra, your screen. My wife turned on the car and it stole my audio. There we go. Game is back. So we know Ezra is gaming from his car. So 4/1 goes in. It's going to be bringing down Jace to 8 life. But because of video game reality, his face, even though he took so many hits, is still perfect. Casts Primeval Titan, bringing Kiora to 13 mana. Will you do Panharmonicon? Okay, decides to Panharmonicon, hoping maybe for the next turn is going to be his second Titan. But there's no more Panharmonicons in Kiora's deck. Alright, Ezra, I think, yeah, Naturalize to bring the 8/8 down to 1 HP, but as we know, there we go, very well done. Clears the field, well, not using Clear the Field, but using Lava Wave. Does the 1 damage, okay. And just like that, we got around the Concealing Arcana problem. So now Blue Drogo does make 15 mana, get the Lorthos, the Tidemaker, and I hope there's a good answer for that. There is Shell Game, fortunately, and I don't think Blue Drogo has a haste. If that Isochron Scepter gave something, oh, gets another Fling. Okay, if he gets a haste with whatever he can play, then he also gets a Concealing Arcana. It's basically a haste and sneak. It might end the game. Anyways, Blue Drogo casts Kiora's Tideshaper, brings him to 16 mana. With 12 mana left over, are you going to Lorthos? I think it's the time to Lorthos, to be honest. Nope, decides to go Stern Artificer, but there is no Artifice to... Okay, decides to go, yeah, there we go, Lorthos the Tideshaper, but doesn't have another Panharmonicon. Gives all 8 buffs into the Kiora Tideshaper. So now he becomes Kiora's, you know, Ocean Shaper, and it's a 10/10. And so now it's going to be having a Concealing Arcana. So we know next turn, if Ezra doesn't deal with it, it's going to be GG because there's Concealing Arcana. So he has to deal with the 8/8, and he has to deal with the 10/10. So he can unsummon maybe the 10/10, turn it back into 2/2. And maybe he can do the, he can do the turtle of the 8/8 Lorthos. Shell Game, that's the name. And that would leave him back at 4 mana. So he can, yeah, do the, nope, maybe he doesn't have room for that, does he? I think that's, okay. All right, maybe he can do the Mana Surge and then also Shell Game. So that way he has enough mana to Shell Game. But I really think he has to get rid of the 8/8 because whenever you play against Arcanus, you always know that they will have a Concealing Arcana. In any case, I think that's going to be game as long as Blue Drogo can see it. So Blue Drogo's Tolarian Academy procs. Doesn't use any more artifacts, doesn't have any more. Decides, yep, Concealing Arcana, there we go. It gets remanded, but he can just cast it again. So Ezra says, thanks for the match. And Concealing Arcana goes in again. That's 11 damage. A blue sword, and again, a lot of water, drowning Jace. Apparently he cannot drink that much water, so he drowns under Kiora the Tideshaper, or rather Kiora's just green water. So very well done. So good job, Blue Drogo. You win round 1. We're gonna get into round number 2.
Round 2. Fight!
So round 2 we have this time from Blue Drogo's point of view. And again, against Ezra, red splash, so it's the same pure long game with mana ramp versus the same sort of draw with the red splash Ezra. As we can see, we saw the 9/7 haste worm, we saw the lava wave, we saw the Zozu, we saw the Niv Mizzet. Alright, so turn 1 goes to Blue Drogo, casts the Birds of Paradise. He might blow that on the Sylvan Shrine on turn 2, we'll have to see. Turn 1 on Ezra, he probably has to pass because he has nothing to play. And turn 2 on Blue Drogo, he could do the Sylvan Shrine, which basically converts the Birds of Paradise into a permanent, but decides, nope, he's just gonna do the Panharmonicon. Alright, not a bad play. Turn 2 on Ezra, just maybe Icy Manipulator, but I don't know if it's worth blowing your mana gem so quickly. Maybe just save your mana gem for the time when you really need it in case. In any case, he decides to cast Icy Manipulator, and turn 3, Blue Drogo casts the Sylvan Shrine. There we go. You know, Blue Drogo has been very fortunate with the 2 Sylvan Shrines, and the plot, and the Primeval Titan, and the Panharmonicon, and the Birds of Paradise. That's so much mana ramp. He's very fortunate to get it against a very slow opponent, because if it was something like a Chandra or Angrath, this game would have been over by turn 4 or 5. In any case, turn 3, Ezra casts the Ruinshell Crab 3/3, can't attack, pass, and ends the turn. And now it's Blue Drogo's turn. Sylvan Shrine again. Maybe do the plot, or maybe just do another Sylvan Shrine. Okay, there we go. Keeping his mana gem from the Birds of Paradise, not using it. Is ramping so hard, and I feel like it's too bad that Ezra doesn't have sort of the rush, or didn't play a rush deck, because this would have been game over. But in any case, it's not, and Blue Drogo is so fortunate to have this draw against this particular opponent, who also, Ezra, I don't think he's running any of the mill. He doesn't have Millstone, you know, he's not Black Splash. So in any case, Ezra has to do that sort of long creature block, creature return, typical Jace sort of play. And Blue Drogo on the next turn, I think he's going to do Sylvan Shrine, could do the Tide Shaper, or maybe just do the Primeval Titan and Panharmonicon it. Maybe that's the play, but we'll see. He decides to do Master Possibilities. Yep, he decides to mop, but again, as you guys all know, mop is not a mop without a pan. And pan the mop. Fearsome Return. So he can do Fearsome Return, but there's no creature that has died yet. So unless a creature dies right now, it really won't be of any use to him. And I don't think anything is gonna die. I mean, he can attack with the 0/1 fish, have it die, and then just return it. Decides to, okay, maybe it's time for plot. Yeah, very well done. So, I mean, Panharmonicon pays for itself because he gets a plot, 2 mana, and 2 cards. Very well done. Okay, and gets his first Titan, Eric's Methes. The 10/10, everything, sneak counter, sneak cannot be countered, and also it has reach. Casts the Tide Shaper as well, gets another mana gem. That's a ton of mana. In total, on turn, 5 so far for Ezra, and on 5 turns for Blue Drogo, he has gained 7 mana. So Ezra, turn 5, has 5 mana. Blue Drogo, turn 5, has basically 7 mana. That's how much mana ramp he's had. So very well done, Blue Drogo, in this particular matchup. So anyways, turn 5 for Ezra on Jace. I don't know if Jace has many answers. Maybe just return, yeah, maybe you can either do that. You could even return, if you wanted, the Panharmonicon, or rather, the Master of Possibilities, hoping that you would get more card draw from your Repulse, and just hoping that the opponent would use his mana instead of casting these sort of endgame Titans, like the Eric's Methes, like the Primeval Titan. He would just cast the Master Possibilities again. Alright, so Blue Drogo gets the Epitome of Might. I think it's time to play that. Maybe it's time to play Epitome of Might, simply because, I mean, it'll make all your other creatures 10/10. It's a sort of a win more card. Nope, decides to go for the Eric's Methes, maybe also cast the Icy Manipulator. There's no need to attack right now, but maybe you can cast, yeah, the Icy Manipulator and just sort of call it a turn. Alright, so I think that's the end of the turn. Yeah, 1 mana, there's nothing to play. Now on to Ezra, turn 6. Turn 6, what can you do? I mean, you are sort of low on possibilities of board clears because there's the 10-10. You don't have a clear the field, and Lava Wave wouldn't take it out. You don't have it anyways. And it's warded. And with the sneak, you're going to take the 10 damage. So you're going to be at 16 no matter what. The answer is, do you deal with the other creatures? Do you deal with the 4-4, the 2-2? How do you deal with that? So I think maybe the answer is, yeah, you just cast all your guys. Maybe you could even repulse the 4-4, the Master Possibilities, just to get more card draw. So it looks like Ezra has Remand lined up. He doesn't, but it's a good way to fake it out. But Blue Drogo has so much mana. He could just cast a Tide Tripper to suss it out. Yep, it doesn't get sussed out, so he knows he can just maybe cast Epitome of Might now. He can just maybe attack with the 10-10 and the 4-4. There we go. Yeah. And maybe just Epitome of Might, because now he knows there's no Remand, and we know that Ezra is red splashed, and so it wouldn't have any traps that are strong enough to destroy the 10-10, like Immolated Glare, which is a white trap. So 10 damage goes to Ezra. He's at 16, and I think Blue Drogo has this in the. I mean, I don't want to call it as an offensive, GG, but it feels like there's no answer unless Ezra can just clear the field. So maybe it's time for, yep, Shell Game on the 10-10, repulse the 10-10, the other 10-10. Hopefully you get something to help to clear the field. Nope. All right, so it's still stuck, but luckily at least the board pressure is off. But we know the Blue Drogo can have Primeval Titan, can have Plot, has Epitome of Might still in hand. So, okay, Tiny Pufferfish of Doom, and has now a 7 mana but a 10-10 Primeval Titan. So he decides to go for a tiny Puffed Doom. It returns 2 creatures as its debut, but you can pan it so that it becomes 8 damage on board. So that's possible. And if you do, I think, how many cards is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's going to be 9 cards in Ezra's hand. It won't cause him to self-mill, but that's going to be 8 damage going through. And I think it's just going to be too much board pressure on Ezra's side. He really needs a clear the field to sort of undo some of this damage. But even with clear the field, Blue Drogo having so much mana can just sort of recast his hand. So Lava Wave is not going to save him, unfortunately. Okay, because it's going to do 6 damage, but the 7/7 is still going to be there, and that's why he has to use the Icy Manipulator. So Ezra's really on the back foot there. 5 mana, 10-10, Gorm the Great. At 10-10, he's now Gorm the Best. Okay, goes for Plot first, has a Mist Raven. I mean, at 10-10 is basically a Mist Falcon. The Master of Possibilities at 10-10 is also buffed. He wasn't just studying magic. He also went to the School of Gym, and he's now ripped and has a very big brain. So that's why he's the Master of Possibilities and the Master of, I guess, just, physical health. Decides to cast the Master of Physical Health. 4 mana left over. Do you pan? What do you get? So you get, okay, so the only applicable, I guess, spell is Holy Armor, to give yourself 3 life and maybe armor. Maybe armor on the 7/1. Yeah, that way Ezra has to make a difficult decision, right? You don't put everything onto one guy. Decides to pan him. Why not? Heals himself for another 5 HP. Bringing Blue Drogo up to 27 plus 5 is, nope, heals that one, okay. All right. Heals that one for 5 tiny, is now 7/6 fish, and just starts to let it go. And we're gonna have to see how Ezra can answer this. At 9 mana, he's gonna have to maybe unsummon, maybe Shell Game or Repulse, and start casting, because he has 10 cards in hand, start casting his spells and creatures just because, well, I mean, because he has too many cards in hand. So even though Blue Drogo only has, Gorm the Best, the Mist Eagle, and the Primeval, there we go, Repulse. Repulse is the 7/6, all right. Ezra draws another card, and maybe he has to unsummon. Unsummon would bring him down to 4 mana. Or he could just Shell Game this 10/10, but I think unsummon is the better answer, because he's going to have to deal with cards like the Epitome of Might, the Gorm the Best, now that he's buffed to 10/10. Totally roided out, thanks to Epitome of Might. Nope, decides to go for, okay, goes for the Anticipate. With so many cards in hand, though, I think you really do need to either unsummon it or, okay. Decides to chance it, casts Jace's Apprentice, 3/10, and the Ruined Shell Crab, but we already know, that Tiny Puffed Doom was returned to hand, so I think that's a little bit of misplay, but at least in my opinion, it looks like Ezra was sort of out of answers, right? Mist Raven, Panharmonicon, I mean, there's so many ways to get around that 3/10. I just think it's, yeah, I mean, that 3/10 is just a chump block, but I really think it had to sort of get rid of this. So now that 3/10, even though it's high health, it's kind of just dead in the water. Yeah, there we go. So, I mean, you could cast, again, Epitome of Might, or maybe just Gorm the Best. Nope, decides to go for Primeval Titan. Why not? And another Primeval Titan. And finally gets his final Titan, which is Tidemaker Lorthos. And it's going to probably have a Panharmonicon for a big damage finish. Unless Ezra can do a... Nope. Unless he can do something like a Zozu with a Sneak and something else. But at so many cards with 10 HP, his Lava Wave is unfortunately not going to kill anything on board. So he has to find a way to, he's got a Ruined Shell, he's got a, sorry, my apologies, he's got an Unsummon in hand. He has got a Shell Game, so that's 2 creatures taken care of. And that's gonna be, okay, Mist Raven, but he doesn't have a Panharmonicon. Oh, so I really don't know what the answer is. He doesn't have Panharmonicon, so he cannot get rid of that other creature. He has a Ruined Shell Crab. Any case, I think it's game because we know Blue Drogo has a Icy Manipulator, so that takes care of 1 artifact, and then we know he has Tiny Puffed Doom, and that's going to take care of 2 other creatures with a Panharmonicon. That's going to be 4 creatures. So even from what we know of what's on the board with Icy Manipulator and a Tiny Puffed Doom, we know it's game over on Ezra's side, because that's 5 creatures that Blue Drogo can either stun or return to hand. So Blue Drogo's turn with 21 mana, which is a ridiculous amount of mana, gets Drag Under, yeah, so Tiny Puff Doom, he can pan it, or he can just, Icy Manipulator stun. Doesn't really matter how he does it, but it's going to be a big finish, big damage coming in from Blue Drogo to Ezra. Thanks for the match. And yeah, that was a pretty one-sided match. I mean, there was no real answer once Epitome of Might got out, because nothing could stand up to the 10 HP Lava Wave. 6 HP just wasn't going to cut it. 6 HP also doesn't kill the natural 8/8 HP of Titans. So anyways, well done, Blue Drogo. Best 2 out of 3. So Blue Drogo, we're going to see you in the next one. Ezra, good try. If you guys liked what you saw or heard today, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And also ring the bell for notifications. We do have an active Patreon. We do appreciate your support as always. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.